If you are a CSE student, you have definitely heard about Google Summer of Code. And being honest, for most of us, GSoC feels confusing, overwhelming, and very far away. Now, questions like where do I start, what should I learn, am I already late, are only the things that come into our mind when we hear about GSoC. So in this video, I will explain GSoC clearly and honestly so you know what it actually is and how to think about it as a student. Hello everyone, this is Atul Kumar Singh, your new student developer friend, and today we are going to deep dive into our journey on how to crack GSoC in 2026. So the first step, um, so the first step, if you want to crack GSoC is you should know about open source. Now, what is open source? So open source is something for which the code base is visible to the public. For example, if you go and see the app of WhatsApp, so you can use the app, but you do not know what the actual code of WhatsApp is. You do not know what is happening behind the curtains. But if you go into some of the apps like Vivaldi, the browser that I use, you have the source code of it open. So you can just go into GitHub and see what actually is happening behind the curtains on Vivaldi. So Vivaldi is something which is open source. So if you have to contribute into GSoC, you must know what is open source and how you can contribute in open source. Now, contributing into open source is a very confusing journey, but today I will tell you a perfect roadmap of how and where you can start contributing into open source. Now, let's talk about GSoC. Why does it feel overwhelming? Now, GSoC feels overwhelming due to a lot of reasons because you go onto the YouTube and you see that you should start doing it like that, or you should start doing it in this organization or that organization. But GSoC has a wide variety of organizations in which you can contribute to. But the most difficult part is that we have never contributed, so it feels overwhelming to us. Now, one of the most important thing that you should take care of in GSoC is your official timeline. Now, the 2026 dates for GSoC, they have been released. For example, from Jan 19, the mentoring organizations will start off their applications. Like you will know which organizations are trying to contribute into GSoC. So you can go out and see the projects of those organizations. Then by Feb 19, you will know that out of all the mentoring organizations that gave their application, which were one actually accepted to be a part of Google Summer of Code 2026. So now you know on which targets should be there in your target list. By March 16, you will have the start of your contributor application. Now, from March 16, you can start giving out your applications that you want to contribute as a GSoC member into this organization. And the deadline for this application would be 31 March. So after 31 March, you cannot give any more proposals. And then there will be April 30. By April 30, you'll know whether you have been accepted as a contributor in an announced project or not. And by 25 May, your coding will officially begin and it will be there for around 3 months to 7 months depending on the size of your project. So Google Summer of Code is not an easy task at all. So you must have a solid toolkit with yourself so that you can prepare well for it and perform well in it. Now, I myself follow this 3 cycle strategy for GSoC in 2026. The first one is skill building. Now, this is the month of January, so you do not have a lot of time left. So you have around 1 month left. You must start building some skill. For example, I do Android, so I will be going out and searching for Android organizations. Similarly, you must also start learning one skill so that you can at least have some proficiency on that skill by the end of January. And of course, after that, if you want and if you know how to use artificial intelligence, so with that skill, you can use artificial intelligence quite in a good way. Now, one of the most important thing in your skill building will be Git and GitHub. Now, Git and GitHub are like the doors to open source. So if you do not know how to open these two doors, you will not be able to contribute in any way. So you must master Git and GitHub by end of January. Now from January to March, you will have the time period where organizations will be giving out their applications to Google that they want to be there in Google Summer of Code 2026. So this is the time when you will be finding the good organizations, you will be joining some of their communities, and you will be trying to solve and contribute to some of the good first issues. Now, what is a good first issue? Now, when you are going into an organization, the code base is huge and you cannot understand every aspect of it. So the maintainers of that repository, they will what they will do is they will mark some issues at good first issues, and you must start with those. So from January to March, your target should be these good first issues, and from February, you should start making a proposal of what you are going to do if you get selected in the Google Summer of Code. And this proposal making process is very difficult and also very long, so you should start early. I'll say you should start by February because you will have to submit it by March. So make sure that you are making a good proposal, so that, and make it early so you can get feedback from mentors, because first proposal is not going to be accepted. You will have to iterate on your proposals, and then at the end your proposal might get selected. Now let's see in 2026 which skills are really relevant. Now what I do is Java, Android, Kotlin. So I would say that this is a pretty high end tech stack, and it has got a very high demand. There are a lot of enterprise level tools and organizations which are open source and which have their fully code base written fully in Java. So Java is really in high demand because of those enterprise level organizations. And also we have different organizations like Tomcat, Apache, we have Jenkins, and a hell lot of more organizations which are completely based on Java. So Java has a very high relevance in 2026. Coming to Python, so this is the era of AI, so there is no doubt about it that Python will have a very high relevance. Similarly, for JavaScript and React, it also has a very high relevance, but you should understand that these are the areas where the competition is also really high, because the entry barrier into these fields is quite low. Then comes our C++. Now C++ is something which does not have a lot of relevance, because C++ is only used where high performance systems are required, and they usually are not that much into open source, because they have to spend a lot of money into making those systems, so they have to get that money back also. So they usually are not that much into open source, so you must not focus on C++, as this is what I would advise as your big brother. Now coming to Git and GitHub, I already told you this is mandatory and non-negotiable. You must know Git and GitHub, otherwise you will not be even able to enter into the open source. Now one of the most important things, finding your organizations. So before finding any organization, you must know what kind of organizations do actually exist. I will divide them into three types of organizations. The first one is our end user applications or end user organizations. Then we have our scientific and specialized organizations, and then we have our deep and lower level organizations. Now, our end user organizations are those organizations which have some apps or websites built and they are running them onto the internet, and you will have to make your contributions into them. For example, in the Opia Android, which I selected as my GSoC organization in this year, this that is an end user application. Why? Because it has an app and I will have to contribute into it. You can also search for other organizations like MIT App Inventor, and these all are end user application organizations. Then comes our scientific and specialized. These are mainly the organizations which are tilted towards research and medical fields, or even AI ML research fields. Now these and then comes our deep and lower level organizations. For example, our Jenkins, our Tomcat, Apache, all these organizations, they are actually writing the code which is responsible for all the logic that is behind our languages. Like in Java, we use collection frameworks, but what is actually happening under the hood of that collection framework? That is where Jenkins and other Java organizations come into the play. So those are deep lower levels. Now, for a newbie or for a new beginner person, end user applications is the sweet spot, and you should go in there and not in scientific and specialized or deep or lower level, because that they will be much more harder. Now, the most important thing that you must take care if you want to get selected in GSoC is writing a winning proposal. Now, A proposal is not just something like an email or a WhatsApp message that you just casually do. You have to put in a lot of effort and a lot of research into writing your proposal. Your proposal will have a title which will tell in short what you are actually going to do if you get selected as a GSoC participant for that organization. Then you will have to tell about what the benefit will that organization have from your feature, and also you will have to specify the timeline that you require in order to incorporate that feature into that organization's repository. And you will also have to tell the tech stack that you will be using, the technologies that you will be using, and at last you will have to add up your bio. Now many people say that their proposal is not getting selected or it is getting a lot of iterations. So you must understand that this is a process by which you are getting filtered out. They actually are working on systems that are being used by the public, so they need to make sure that whatever feature you are introducing should be useful to the public and should not break up their repository. So they iterate on your proposals a lot, and at the last, if your proposal suits them, you get selected. Now what is the payoff that you will get after putting this much amount of effort and energy and time into GSoC? So you can understand from this huge number which you can see on the screen, which is 22,000. So this is the number of participants that have already contributed into GSoC in the past 20 years. So if you calculate it in 20 years, 22,000, that means around 1,000 participants are participating in Google Summer of Code every year. And the other things that you get if you participate in GSoC is that you get to work on large code bases, which gives you real product experiences. You work in a well distributed team. You know how to interact with different team members and how to collaborate on a single project and how to make projects as a team. And at the end, you deliver a project. Also, GSoC is your key into the system if you are not from a tier 1 college, because GSoC will tell the recruiters that this person has potential, because you have already worked on enterprise level systems and you have already worked with teams, you have already done collaborative work, so they know that yes, you are capable and you should also be taken into consideration if they are hiring. So, guys, the only thing that I would like to say is that the journey will begin as soon as you will get on your laptop and you will search for which organization you want to contribute into. This will be your first step, and always remember, first step is the beginning of a journey. So you must take your first step, and we will meet in the next video. Till then, keep learning, keep building, keep breaking, and keep debugging. Thank you. Sayonara.